What if the car that saves Ferrari's future doesn't even have an engine? Think about that for a second. For nearly 80 years, Ferrari has built its reputation on things people can hear, feel, and remember. The scream of a V12, the growl of a V8, the emotion that comes from thousands of moving parts working together at incredible speed. That's what made Ferrari. Ferrari. But now, everything is changing. Because Ferrari is preparing to launch something that would have sounded impossible just a few years ago. A fully electric Ferrari. This is the Ferrari Luce 2027. And before it has even reached customer garages, people are already debating whether it could become one of the most important Ferraris ever built. Some believe this car represents the future. Others believe Ferrari is taking the biggest risk in its history. And honestly, both sides might be right, because this isn't just another new Ferrari. This isn't simply a replacement for an older model. This is Ferrari entering completely new territory. The company is asking customers to embrace a Ferrari without the engine sounds that help build the brand's legendary reputation. And that's exactly why people can't stop talking about it. The interesting part is that nobody is questioning whether the Luce will be fast. Of course it will be fast. Ferrari knows how to build performance cars. The real question is much bigger than speed. Can an electric Ferrari still create emotion? Can it still make drivers smile every time they get behind the wheel? Can it still make people stop and stare when it drives past? And perhaps the biggest question of all, could the Ferrari Luce 2027 become the car that defines Ferrari's next generation? Because if Ferrari gets this right, the Luce won't simply be remembered as Ferrari's first EV. It could be remembered as the car that changed everything. And that's what makes this story so fascinating. Now, before we dive into the design, technology, and performance, it's important to understand why this car matters so much. Because the Ferrari Luce isn't just competing against other electric vehicles, it's competing against Ferrari's own history. And that's a challenge few cars have ever faced. So why would anyone buy the Ferrari Luce in 2027? After all, by the time this car arrives, the EV market will be filled with powerful alternatives. There will be luxury EVs, electric supercars, high-performance sedans, and vehicles producing incredible amounts of power. Yet the Luce is expected to stand apart for one simple reason. It's a Ferrari. That badge still means something. When people buy a Ferrari, they're not simply buying transportation. They're buying decades of heritage, Formula One success, engineering excellence, and a level of exclusivity that few brands can match. The Luce gives buyers a chance to experience that heritage while stepping into the future. And that's a powerful combination. Now let's talk about the design. Because first impressions matter, and Ferrari understands that better than almost anyone. The Luce is expected to feature a low, wide stance with proportions that immediately communicate performance. Unlike many electric vehicles that prioritise efficiency above all else, Ferrari knows that a Ferrari must first look exciting. The front end is expected to be aggressive but elegant. Slim LED lighting, sharp aerodynamic surfaces, and bodywork sculpted to manage airflow without sacrificing beauty. From the side, the car should look unmistakably Ferrari. Low roofline, muscular rear haunches, large wheels, and proportions that make it look fast even when standing still. That's important because Ferrari buyers don't want a car that blends into traffic. They want something memorable, something emotional. And Ferrari has spent decades mastering that formula. The rear design is expected to continue that philosophy. Clean lighting signatures, aerodynamic detailing, and a presence that feels dramatic without becoming excessive. Every angle should remind people that this is not just another EV, this is a Ferrari. Now let's move inside, because the interior experience may be even more important than the exterior. Why? Because this is where owners will spend their time. And Ferrari understands that luxury and performance must work together. The cabin is expected to feature premium materials throughout: leather, carbon fibre, Alcantara, metal accents. Every surface should feel carefully crafted. The dashboard will likely remain heavily driver-focused, because Ferraris have always been designed around the person behind the wheel. Digital displays will provide navigation, performance information, battery data, and vehicle settings. But Ferrari also knows that technology alone isn't enough. The experience matters. The atmosphere matters. The feeling matters. And that's what Ferrari must deliver. The seats are expected to balance comfort and support. Long-distance usability combined with high-performance capability. The driving position should remain low and connected to the road. Exactly what enthusiasts expect. Now let's discuss performance, because performance is where expectations become enormous. This is Ferrari. People expect something special. And honestly, Ferrari knows that. Reports suggest the Luce could produce over 1,000 horsepower. If that happens, acceleration will be extraordinary. But power isn't the real story. Many EVs are already quick. The real challenge is creating engagement, creating excitement, creating emotion. That's where Ferrari must separate itself from the competition. Imagine an empty road early in the morning. You settle into the driver's seat. The displays come alive. Everything feels focused, purposeful. You press the accelerator. Instant torque launches the car forward. No delay, no hesitation, just seamless acceleration. The scenery begins to blur. The car feels planted, confident, controlled, and incredibly fast. That's the experience Ferrari is trying to create. Not just speed, but memorable speed. Now let's talk about handling. Because Ferrari has always been known for balance and precision. Electric vehicles naturally carry additional battery weight. But Ferrari's engineers understand vehicle dynamics better than almost anyone. The battery pack is expected to sit low within the chassis. That lowers the centre of gravity, improves stability, and helps the car remain composed through corners. Advanced suspension systems, torque vectoring, and sophisticated chassis technology should help maintain the sharp handling characteristics Ferrari owners expect. And honestly, if Ferrari gets the steering feel right, the Luce could become one of the most exciting electric performance cars ever built. Now let's discuss something that many enthusiasts continue debating: sound. For decades, Ferrari engines created some of the most recognisable sounds in the automotive world. The sound became part of the identity, part of the experience, part of the emotion. Without that traditional soundtrack, some people wonder whether the Luce can still feel special. But perhaps that's the wrong question. Maybe the goal isn't to recreate the past. Maybe the goal is to create something new. A new type of Ferrari experience. A new type of excitement. And honestly, that's probably the smartest path forward. Because the future shouldn't pretend to be the past. It should build its own identity, which brings us back to the original question. Why are so many people talking about the Ferrari Luce 2027? Because this car represents more than a new model. It represents a turning point. A moment where one of the most famous automotive brands in history chooses to embrace a completely different future. And whether you're a Ferrari fan or not, that's fascinating, because very few vehicles carry this much pressure. Very few vehicles carry this many expectations. And very few vehicles have the potential to influence an entire industry. The Ferrari Luce 2027 isn't just trying to become a great EV, it's trying to become a great Ferrari. And if it succeeds, people may look back on this car years from now and realise it wasn't simply Ferrari's first electric vehicle. It was the beginning of a completely new chapter, one that could define the brand for decades to come. And honestly, that's why this might be one of the most important cars worth watching in 2027.